What up, everyone? Welcome back to Blade Bias. I spent a week, as I normally do on this channel, with the Empusa, and this is what I learned. The Empusa is a incredibly interesting balisong, being a reblade of the already popular and good Fellowship Blades Medusa, taking the Medusa handles and putting them onto a blade which is my personal favorite blade style, a kukri. And this does wonders for things like the flipping experience, the balance, and the overall look of the knife. But those are all things that we will get into a bit later. Because starting off, I want to talk about the looks. Ever since I got this balisong, in the past week that I've had it, I have only become more enamored with the look of this balisong. From little details like the lines on the blade, to bigger details like talking to Grant about this giant cutout sort of thing in the blade. Hearing the point of that to allow for less friction as you're cutting through things. These screws, which are just amazing looking. I love the design of these screws, and it does so much to just bring the whole look of the knife together, especially since they aren't shiny steel. They're kind of like almost an acid wash look. The ano, which is one of the best that I have ever seen on a knife in person. The blue, the teal, the greens I've noticed that there's like some greens mixed in there. You've got the teal, the purples on all the edges. It is just beautiful. And it just delivers an overall look of a knife that just not only looks premium, but this thing also feels incredibly premium. I'm not concerned about the durability at all. Whenever I drop it, I'm not too worried about it. Granted, I've only really dropped it on concrete, no, I haven't dropped it on concrete. I've only dropped it on carpet. And I'm not going to beat this thing by any means because I don't really want the ano to get too scuffed up. But this is not a balisong that I would want to baby because I'm worried about something breaking on it or something coming loose or something along that nature. It is built to be EDC'd, and you can feel it because it just has such a solid feeling in the hands. The sound also incredible. As I've mentioned in the previous video, it's bouncy with that sort of resonant ring to it that just I love so much. It reminds me of like a squid trainer almost, but less piercing and probably a lot more pleasant to most people's ears. The jimping is very good. I mean, I'm not a very good ladder person, so me talking about ladders and how the jimping helps on them isn't really going to help you too much, admittedly. But one thing that I can speak on that I talked about in the last video that I've since sort of changed my mind about is the thin handles. I said previously that since these sides are smaller because you have this chamfer, is probably going to result in not having as much grip along the sides for things like ladders. And I still believe for ladders that is specifically true. But if I do underhand twirls, I can do this for so much longer, assuming I don't mess up, for so much longer than I would be able to on any other balisong in my collection. Because the chamfers on the edge of the channel help so much in terms of grip, especially with the thin handles. And, of course, the fact that it's titanium makes this thing much more grippy than something out of aluminum would be, especially with this crazy hole pattern that your fingers can really dig into to get really good grip on. Now, I would be absolutely remiss to not talk about or not mention the balance on this thing and the flipping experience because it is incredible. I have always liked kukri blades for what they do to the balance of a balisong. They make the balance much more blade biased, but not in a way that you can't flip it. They improve fans, and they also make the rollover experience just very sticky. So you have the best of both worlds, being blade bias for fans, but also handle bias for things like rollovers. And it results in a balance that has legitimately made me a cleaner and better flipper. I feel more capable. I felt the same way about the Kraken when I first got it, and I still do about the Kraken. But the Kraken always had something about it that I couldn't put my finger on. And I've realized since trying things like the Black Balisong Reaper that it's the flow of it. there's something about the flow of a Kraken that doesn't sit 100% right with my style of flipping or how I flip. Now, granted, it's still 95% really good, which is why I've always loved the Kraken. But this doesn't have that. This just flows in my hands. Whatever I want to do with it, it just does. And it has cleaned up my flipping to a degree where I feel like I have genuinely improved just by learning tricks on this thing. Now, that isn't all because of the balance. I also owe that to the fact that this blade is very sharp, and it has made me realize how sloppy I've gotten with my flipping, specifically with the bite handle just kind of grazing along my fingers. Not doing too much damage, but leaving enough of a mark where I see it and I'm like, oh, that's a way to clean up my flipping. And it has legitimately helped so much in the sense of where before when I flipped with like my Nemesis or even my Kraken isn't sharp enough to leave a mark like that if I just kind of barely touch it, but this is. So it has allowed me to look at errors that I make in my flipping and really, really clean them up. And when you combine that with the amazing balance of this thing, I just feel like an overall more capable flipper and really just find myself being unable to put this thing down. Now the sharpness does, I mean, this is his medium sharpness level. I have no idea what razor sharp is like. So if you decide to get razor sharp from him, good luck. But this legitimately got to a point where I had so many little marks on my fingers that it hurt to flip, like doing chaplains and stuff. But I still wanted to do it anyway because this thing is so addicting. I've never had the pleasure of just being able to pick up like a semi-grail level knife whenever I want. I've been able to try things like the Tsunami, like the Seraph, but I've never been able to just flip them whenever. And now that I have that, it is insanely addicting, and I can't find myself able to put it down. Because the Empusa just delivers an experience that I don't have in my collection. From the high quality feel to the overall balance of it, which is probably one of my favorite in my collection, if not that I've tried in general, in recent memory at least. But it just overall delivers a package that, holy cow, I am absolutely in love with. And I am not just saying that because Grant was so kind enough to send this to me. It is legitimately a good product. Grant makes an amazing, amazing product. And I think there's a lot of people out there that would agree with that statement, for sure. Now, you might be wondering, and I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of questions about it, is this your favorite knife in your collection, your favorite ballast song, whatever? Yes and no. I'm going to do a video, because I did that video a few days ago where I talked about how my opinion has changed on a few of the ballast songs in my collection. I'm going to do a video either my next upload slot or the slot after that, where I talk about how my opinions have changed on ballast songs because of this. Because a lot of people think, oh, you get a really nice ballast song like that. How do you feel about your other lower quality ballast songs? Things like the Arctic or the Vulp. How does it make you feel about those? And the answer is actually a lot better than you would expect. When I first got this thing, I kind of thought it would replace my Nemesis, for example. But it does not replace my Nemesis whatsoever because the two have very different experiences that I both like. I like my collection to be unique. And so to have them not be replaced by each other or not compete with each other really in terms of the flipping experience is really, really awesome and has only made me appreciate the Nemesis more. So look out for a video where I talk about how this thing has changed my opinions on various knives in my collection. But for right now, I have spent a week with the Fellowship Blades Empusa, and it was one of my favorite weeks in my entire flipping career. In terms of flipping ballast songs, like obviously the Blade Show is probably my favorite week ever, but my favorite week of trying a ballast song ever. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.